Hello and welcome back to Mama Magma Yoga. My name is Tamu and I'm here with a new series for you for the month of October. So first of all, happy fall, happy October. I'm glad that you're here. This month we're going to be exploring low lunge or Ashwa Sanchalasana. And so we're going to be playing around with many variations that are available to us in this pose. But first and foremost, the reason that I want to do this pose is because I've been really noticing in all of my classes that even though this pose is used in Sun Salutations and in many other flows to help open the hip flexors and stretch through the hamstrings, stretch and strengthen the upper back and open the heart, that it is very difficult for a lot of people, especially if they have tight hip flexors and tight hamstrings. And men in particular, but women do have a hard time too. And so I just feel like we need to explore this pose a little bit more, and I need to offer you some alternatives in terms of where to be at in the pose, how to find it and make it more accessible, and using props in order to do so in some cases. So I'll talk about this in the video, but you may want to bring along a couple of yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, then find a couple of books around your house, nice thick ones, or maybe use a low stool, maybe use a couple couch cushions that are nice and firm, just something that can raise the earth up to you and help to make this pose more accessible. So let's hop on the mat, let's have some fun, let's put a smile on our face, let's not take ourselves too seriously and really provide ourselves and our bodies with an ability to access this beautiful, strong, powerful pose in a more mindful, grounded, and secure manner. So let's get to it. I'll meet you on the mat. All right, welcome. Glad you're here. Excited to see you. We're going to be exploring, as you know, low lunge today, and throughout the month of October, we're going to be exploring the many different variations that we can play with low lunge and working up to crescent lunge. So I really recommend that you bring along a block or two. Two is best. If you don't have a block, then use one of your books, a couple of books stacked up, have a couple for each side, find the thickest ones you can, sort of thing. You want about this size. You're going to want to have them standing up probably in this orientation when we get there. So yeah, if you don't have blocks, if you're not that far into your practice, you're just starting yoga, I totally understand. So use what you have around the house. So you could use a low stool or a couple of low stools. You could use some dense pillows, maybe couch cushions, just something to support yourself while you're doing this practice. Because as I have found out, this posture is actually a lot harder for people than we think. It's regularly used posture or asana in yoga flows. We often arrive in low lunge from downward facing dog, and that transition and the pose itself has proved to be quite difficult for some people. So that's why I want to focus on it this month and bring some light to it. Provide some options for it, make it more accessible for you in your practice. So find your props, whatever they may be, have them handy. This pose is really awesome for opening the hip flexors, for opening the hamstrings. You're going to be strengthening your upper and middle back. You're going to be strengthening the quads, the glutes. We're really working a lot of the body here. We're toning the body and allowing for there to also be more opening. You're opening the chest, you're opening in the hips, all that good stuff. So let's first of all find ourselves at the top of our mat. Bring yourself to your feet so that your feet are hip-width distance apart. Stand up nice and tall. First of all, let's feel the feet connecting to the earth. Let's feel the big toe mound, the pinky toe mound. Maybe you even lift your toes so that you can feel this a bit better. Feel the back two corners of your feet. Don't worry, this will become relevant as we do the pose, just in terms of finding your balance and hugging everything into the midline and being present. So you press play on this video. Let's really come into the moment, make the most of it. Let's practice together. Let's take a deep breath in. And on an exhale, open the palms forward, rotate the shoulders away from the ears. Allow the shoulder blades to extend down the back body. Already we're engaging the upper back. We're engaging the traps. We're relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. We're drawing energy up from the earth, up from the arches of the feet. We're lifting the kneecaps. We're extending the tailbone down and lifting from the sternum, really finding nice length in the back of the neck by pretending you can reach your crown up towards the heavens. Find your mountain pose. Take a deep breath in. On an exhale, close your eyes. Relax the shoulders away from the ears and allow yourself to become present in this moment. Dropping a pin in here and now. And you've showed up here. It's awesome. Let's stay together with low lunge. Flutter the eyelashes open. And then find soft knees. Find some bounce. And inhale, reach the fingertips up towards the heavens. Inhaling to reach. Exhaling to relax the shoulders away from the ears and find some space between the palms. So palms are facing each other, but we're finding space, pretending we're holding a big ball or something up overhead. So, there's lots of space there, lots of space between the ears and the shoulders. Standing up nice and tall. Take one more deep breath in, perhaps you look up. And on an exhale, we'll bring the palms together and slice it down the midline, bending the knees generously and coming forward into a forward fold. We're beginning to open through the hamstrings here, open through the lower back. Bend the knees as generously as you need to. Be where you're at. If your forward fold looks like this and you need some support, you can right away engage your props. Bring your books or your blocks underneath you and allow them to help lift the earth up to you. The big thing here is that we're bending at the hips, not at the waist. We're really feeling this in the backs of the legs, in the hamstrings. So be where you're at today. Deep inhale in, and on an exhale, maybe you fold a little bit more. And maybe you're one of those people that's already here and you're like, yeah, let's get on with it. I'm doing my forward fold. I got this. Awesome sauce. Be where you're at today. So then we're going to, from our forward fold, nothing fancy. So whether you've got the blocks or you're putting fingertips back to the mat, so if you've got your blocks and you're up here, you're simply going to step the left toes back. So step those left toes back and bring the blocks to the side. So if you're up here, that's fine. You're wanting to stack front knee over front ankle. That's a really big thing with this pose. And with any yoga poses, you're wanting to stack the bones. Being really careful with your placement. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here, right? We're not dumping all our weight into our joints. We're hugging everything into the midline. So you've stepped your foot back. Perhaps your palms are on your blocks. Perhaps they're down on the earth. And then we're gently lowering the back knee. So in this posture, you've lowered the back knee. Now is where you might start to find it difficult. If you are a guy who's been in construction all your life and your hips are really tight and your hamstrings are really tight, you're probably more like here. You're kneeling, right? And you feel like you're not doing the pose properly. That's wrong. You are doing it properly. You're doing it to where you're at today. If you're someone who's been practicing yoga for a while, or you're a woman and your hips are just generally not as tight, then you might be here. You might still be using the blocks. You might be here, right? Back toes can be curled under depending on what's happening with the knee and what sensitivity it has. You might find it to be more stable to bring the top of the foot to the mat. So I recommend that if you have really tight hips and hamstrings, that you allow yourself to be here. Allow yourself to start to stretch. Maybe you extend that right foot out a little bit more. Allow yourself to come down using the blocks as the tool that they are to help you come into the pose just a little bit more, right? We're really focusing on hugging everything into the midline. So this isn't a passive pose. Like I said, we're not jumping. So we're not just letting it go and going into the joints that way. That's not going to help us. It's not going to do us any good. We're not strengthening the ligaments that way. We're opening the hip, in a shocking way. We're not helping the body. We're doing more harm than good. So hug everything into the midline. Chest shines forward. Crown extends nice and long. So, if you're like this, if this is your posture, and this is how you do low lunge, then you're not really getting the benefits from it, and you're not training your muscles, and you're not allowing things to open. So what we're wanting to do, so if you don't have blocks, you're wanting to shine your heart open. See how I'm bringing the roundedness out of my back. I'm allowing my sternum to shine forward. I'm reaching my crown nice and long, and I'm up on my fingertips. If you've got the blocks, you can do even better than that, right? You can allow the lower back to become flat. You can start engaging the traps and the upper back. If you're lower down, you can be here, right? Hug everything into the midline. You're really actually pressing into that front right foot quite a lot. Breathing nice and deep. Finding your version of low lunge. Now you might find with each breath that you are able to open a little bit more. You're able to sink into the posture just a little bit more. Remember, you're really pressing into that right foot. You're hugging everything into the midline, and the chest is shining forward. So without the blocks, here we are. This is what it looks like. Beautiful. Stack that front knee over that front ankle. Now, when you're ready, we can curl the back toes under if they're not already, and we'll lift the back knee. So this is coming out of the pose. So if you've got your blocks, this is what it looks like. Now, oftentimes in a yoga class, and I do this all the time too, you'll be cued to plant the palms and step the right toes back, finding a plank. Now that transition might be really hard for you. You might be like, I'm stepping that foot back, right? Find your blocks. Use the tools available to you, whether that's books or blocks. See if you can lift that back knee, lift yourself up, and then step back, finding your plank here, right? And then, or keeping that back knee lowered, using your blocks or not, and then sending that left hip back, stepping the right knee back, and coming forward into your plank. We've got lots of modifications here that we can use to help us with this pose. But what if you're not stepping back to go into downward dog, when you're not going to your plank? The easier way to come out of this pose, with or without the blocks, is to curl the back toes under, lift the back knee, find some buoyancy in that back knee, and step the left toes up to meet the right, and find yourself in your forward fold, wherever that is. Beautiful. Then we'll bend the knees generously, drop the hips, spread the fingertips wide to come up, reach all the way to the heavens, take a deep breath in, and exhale, hands to heart. Wonderful. I hope that this helps you a little bit in terms of finding this posture and it becoming more available to you. If you have questions or comments, or if you've tried things that maybe could help others with this posture, that would be wonderful if you'd leave it in the comments below or ask me questions. What can I do in this situation? This part of my body, doesn't accommodate very well. Yeah, that, what you showed may work for some people, but it's not really working for me. Make me think about it. Let's do another video. Let's address those issues and help you get into the posture better. So next week, we are going to explore a revolved low lunge and get into that a little bit more. We're going to be working our traps a little bit more. We're going to still be using our props, so bring them along. I hope to see you there. This has been great to share this with you. I can't wait to see you next week. Namaste.